Hey everyone, today I'm going to talk to you about warp stabilization in Premiere Pro and how it can help up the quality of your clips and make some clips that maybe weren't recorded the best way look more professional. So just a little background first. Warp stabilizer is an effect that comes preset in Premiere, and it does a really good job of making kind of bad clips in terms of shakiness or unwanted motion look pretty good. So the way to access this plugin is to down here in this panel in Premiere, you have the effects kind of tab. And in that effects tab, you can go here to the search bar and search warp, and that'll bring up warp stabilizer. And all you do from that point is drag and drop it onto the clips. And the clips with warp stabilizer enabled, or any effect for that matter, will have this blue shade kind of roll over the little effects cube right here where my mouse is. And so warp stabilizer is used for clips that are a little bit shaky. It'll take out that unwanted motion. Maybe if you didn't have a tripod, or maybe where the tripod was sitting, like near train tracks or anything that would cause a lot of ground rumble to make the clip kind of move. So whenever you put warp stabilizer on a clip, it brings up this little menu right here in the effect controls up in this panel of Premiere. I'm just going to kind of go through some of the options you have included with the warp stabilizer here. So like I said, whenever you put it on a clip, it automatically analyzes it to see the motion. So I have two clips here that I'm going to go through a little bit later and let you see and see the difference. But both of these clips right here are pretty shaky. I did not have a tripod. I was just kind of running around shooting while I was in Chicago, and so they're pretty shaky and not the most fun to watch. So to make those usable, I could add warp stabilizer to control that shakiness. So here's some of the things that you can change in warp stabilizer. So I'll just kind of go down through the list here. The first one is the result of the stabilization. So you have two options in this panel. You can either do smooth motion or no motion. Smooth motion controls how shaky the clip is, makes it less shaky, and makes the clip usable. No motion would affect the clip in a style of making the video almost like a picture. There would be no motion in the clip at all. So, like in this scene, for example, you would not see the water moving. You wouldn't really see this boat coming through or the cars coming across the bridge. So it takes out all motion, which is one way to go about it. Not the best way if you still want motion in the shot, but it is possible. Right here is your amount of smoothness it adds. This is really important because you want to know this affects how much it actually smooths out the image. I would never go 100%. It's not generally a good idea. It'll make the clip look very unnatural. 50% is a good starting point. I tend to stay around the 20 to 30% range just because you want some of that shakiness still in there, and 50% just starts to look unnatural. So I would suggest starting at 50 and kind of going down at your own discretion. The next part of this is subspace warp, which is the method of how it chooses to stabilize the clip. So there are a lot of different options here: perspective, scale, position, scale, and rotation, position. But subspace warp does a pretty good job of, it is the preset, and so it does a pretty good job of kind of scaling everything in and finding a good point of the least amount of movement and making everything else in the scene kind of match. And so kind of the last part down here is the framing. So the stabilize, crop, and auto scale. This again is the preset, but it does a really good job of, once it stabilizes the clip, to make sure it's taking out the most shakiness, which is usually around the edges. It'll crop in the clip a little bit and then scale that up to make the clip look a little better. And you also have an additional scaling if you want to make it, if it still looks a little weird, you can scale it a little bit more. So let me just pull up these two clips here and kind of show you. We have two kind of different styles. This one would just be the scene. I don't want any movement from the camera, but I still want movement from the scene. And then this shot, I'm actually panning up from the bottom up to the top of the buildings. And so I'll just kind of go through these two. So in this clip, we have this scene in downtown Chicago. And as you'll see, there's a lot of shakiness. So whenever I play the clip, you can see the shakiness of the bridge I'm standing on. It's just, there's so much that it's unusable in context of a video. It would just be not fun for the audience to watch. And then this clip, I did want movement of scaling up the building, as you can see, but you can see the shakiness from my hands just because I didn't have a tripod or anything, and so I was just lifting the camera up with my hands. And so the great thing about Warp Stabilizer is you can still get these kind of shots but make them smoother. So remember from this example, it's very shaky from the bridge. You come over here to where it's been stabilized, you see it cropped in a little bit, and all that shakiness is pretty much gone. You still get kind of some weird things happening down in the water, which is just one of the things that's going to happen whenever you try to smooth it out, which is why I suggest taking it down to about 20 to 30%. It'll minimize this amount of kind of degrading of the clip to make it smoother. And then finally for this other clip, so here I didn't want any movement at all, just the movement in the scene, and here I still wanted to keep the movement, and this one does a really good job of taking out my shakiness but keeping the movement going up. So here you have this scene, and the shakiness is almost completely gone. As you can see at 50%, it does look a little fake. You can kind of see the movement in the clouds there, but taking that down to about 20 or 30% will make that look almost completely natural and take out the shakiness. So it's a really great plugin that can really up the shots that you choose to put into any video that you make. So thanks for watching.